You see that all 17 goals are in very distinctly understandable icons that
Yep.
translate languages. So it really is a set of 17 distinct talking points that are explainable in multiple languages in very simple, iconic concepts.
It's very brightly colored and it's very loud and it's fun for a while.
We want to be free to do what we want to
Two are
do.
Muhammad Ali and Sonny Barker, the president of the Hells Angels.
This is 109.5. Hey Cynthia, how you doing?
Very good. Exhausted after a really big race.
It's all just finished, has it? It's all you.
It has.
And how did it go? Was it a success? I hope.
Well, yes, after any run, and we just got finished with 5Ks, 10Ks, full and half marathons, and then little small family fun runs in 190 something countries, over 190 countries.
Wow.
And where it doesn't matter how long your race is, after a race, you're exhausted. So
Cool.
your body is remembering how to walk again. Let's put it that way.
Cool. Well, glad to hear it's a success. Maybe give us I think for the audience, do you want to give us a bit of an introduction on yourself, what the race is all about, what you guys do, and we'll dig into some of the specifics around it.
Well, this year the International Sibling Society organized the Global Race for Sustainability, and it's a series of long distance, short distance runs in 190 over 190 countries, all to create awareness of the global sustainable development goals. And I bet you in your world are pretty familiar with the global sustainable development goals. But that's what we're doing. We're running the race to create awareness of the fact that there's 17 goals for humanity out there. They're really big ones, and we've been working on it as the human race in over 190 something countries since some say 2012, 2015, the first documents, and they're all set to be achieved in the year 2030. So if all of these massive goals that are good for humanity, good for all life on the planet, other species, and the planet itself, if all these goals are set to be achieved in the year 2030, we're on the finish line. We're running a race, literally, to the finish line, which the finish line is 2030. And so we're just creating awareness through our actual physical runs on the planet with our feet touching the earth as we, literally run. It's like art imitating life. We are all running towards 2030, which is the date that we all are working towards achieving these goals. Um,
Cool.
the goals themselves are big goals. Are
Uh,
you familiar with some of them? All of them?
yeah. I
What's your
mean,
favorite?
I don't know. I never thought about them in in terms of my favorite one. I'm very familiar with them with my work, and I have been for about 10 years. And I like. I mean, the interesting thing about the goals is they're individual, but they're not really. They all interlink. To be honest, I think that's what's important. And I think that interlinking of all of them is how to look at them. Because you know one doesn't override another. So I'm interested actually. Like I say, I'm very familiar with them. Like in my work, I think we achieve, like, off the top of my head, I think 9 of the goals based on the work we're doing. But in the general public, like, do you find people understand these goals? How did you come into contact with them? What? Yeah, like I'm interested to know how you came into contact with them, and if you find the kind of general public understand what the UN Sustainable Development Goals are.
Right, right. Well, let's talk about it for a little bit. Let's just, talk with your audience and talk about what those 17 goals are.
Yeah.
I have this piece of paper here,
Oh,
and it's
cool.
just real iconic. I'm wondering if you can kind of see it, and
You can
if
just about see
so,
it. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Cool. You can see it.
you see that all 17 goals are in very distinctly understandable icons that
Yep.
translate languages. So it really is a set of 17 distinct talking points that are explainable in multiple languages in very simple, iconic concepts. So let me just go through and just go ahead and name all 17 of
Go
these
for
goals.
it.
It won't take but a second, but it's no goal number 1 is no poverty. 2, zero hunger. 3, good health and well-being. 4, quality education for everyone on the planet. 5, gender equality. 6, clean water and sanitation. 7, affordable and clean energy. 8, decent work and economic growth. 9, industry, innovation, and infrastructure. Number 10, uh, reduced inequalities. Number 11, sustainable cities and communities. Number 12, responsible consumption and production. Number 13, climate action. 14, life below the water. 15, life on land. 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions. And then number 17, which is my favorite, which is partnership for the goals. So they're not necessarily easy goals, We're talking about everything from climate action to ending poverty and ending hunger. There's a lot of debate as to whether or not we'll actually achieve these goals by the year 2030. What do you think? You think we'll make it?
I mean, I'd love to be optimistic, but if I'm honest, things like zero hunger, we're not going to hit. I think you got to look at this. The goal is that you're aiming towards zero hunger, for example, not that you will necessarily achieve it. I don't. I think it'll be very difficult to tick all of those goals. However, from an individual or an organization level, you can look to achieve it in the work you do, right? That's the way I look at it. Whether we, achieving all of those goals as a global society, I think would be almost silly to say, yeah, we'll achieve that. But the point is to be heading towards all of those goals, either individually or as a business, and achieve what you can. So I don't mean to sound like a political answer if that did, but that's how I look at it. In the work I do, like I say, we're working with communities in Africa and Asia and in marginalized areas, and we're ensuring things like decent work, like zero hunger, like equal opportunities. So all of these things are goals that we strive towards in terms of the work we do. But yeah, to tick all of those off as a global kind of society, I think would be overly ambitious to say that we're going to achieve it, because the other challenge we have is the population is still accelerating in terms of how many people there are, and it's going to be difficult. What do you think? What's your view?
Well, I've loved talking with others in the podcasting community, because as I talk and I ask people that, overwhelmingly they really are supportive, and they think, oh yes, we're gonna work together and we're gonna move forward. We're gonna achieve these goals. Um, you can either look at it as the cup is half empty or half full. It just depends on your perspective. Some parts of the world are going to come up and show great percentages and great improvement, whereas other ones may have already had it good and don't have that much room to show improvement on.
Yeah.
And the numbers constantly change every day. With all of the new AI data measurement tools that we have in place, you can just sit there and watch it right in front of your eyes. How well we're doing and how it changes literally on a daily basis. So I'm going to be optimistic. I think we're going to make some good strides. You know how far we are, though? The UN did a report recently. Have you heard about this report that says how well we're doing?
No, I don't know if I've read the recent one. When was this?
I heard about it in a conference in Malaysia a couple of weeks
Okay.
ago. So I'm thinking that it was published by the UN probably within the last few months or so.
Okay.
It's the newest information out there. But it says that we are only 17% on target. So we've only completed 17% of the goals so far. So again, we're racing to the finish line, sprinting, long marathon run, however you want to look at it. We're rushing towards 2030 to make it to that finish line. So
Indeed. And talk to us about the race then. How did you come up with the idea of the race? How does it link in? How does it help create awareness? Because when there's a race towards the goals, but you're talking about a physical race that I know that you've organised 190 countries, and yeah, how is that? How did it come about, and how does it help to raise awareness for these different goals when people get involved in the race?
The 190 countries, those correspond with the 190 countries that are already working together to achieve the goals.
Yeah,
So if you look up who those countries are, they're countries, but they're not all countries. There's the Holy See. It's on the list. It's not a country, but it's, basically the Catholic Church, and they're listed as a UN observer state or observer nation. Also, Palestine is not a country, and yet it's on the list as a UN observer state. There's some islands that haven't gotten that aren't recognized as countries that still have a seat at the UN table and are still working together to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. And so that's where we get the 190 countries.
yeah,
And just to kind of recap what happened with this race, this was our first year to run it and to do this, and it was just well received from the very beginning. And it was so huge that we started out literally looking at places to have the race, like what venues, what parks and trails and stuff we're going to hold this race. And for it to actually happen over all of those, well over the world, it really became what it is as a race. It
yeah,
is listed on our platform as a virtual race. It became more about communication and coordination and registering for the site, a lot of techie stuff just to make sure it was all happening. The end result was we found that instead of people running together in large groups, everybody was really spread out.
yeah.
So a lot of people, like just our internship group with the International Sibling Society, which was huge, by the way. Everybody was spread out from one coast in the United States to the other, and everybody in our area of Reno, Nevada, we only had 5 people that were running together. There was some countries that were going to show up in large numbers, such as Kenya and India. And so we definitely wanted to encourage that. And, it could still, these kind of things could still happening and are still happening. There's a race that's, even though we've wrapped up our end of it, there's another race that's happening in India in coordination with, what we're doing here with the Global Race for Sustainability. So, all in all, we have lots of room for improvement having done this first year. And that's what we're looking forward to doing, is going through the evaluation form, seeing what worked for us, seeing how we can change things and move forward next year.
Cool. So people will register on your platform. I know it's just finished, but and we've met, I think, just as you were going to kind of closing up. But people register on your platform. They take part in their country in a race of whatever distance that is. How does that link into the goals, and how do those people who get involved become aware of the goals? Do you share information on that? And how have you found that? Are people understanding what the goals are, or that link between the race and the goals and people learning? Talk to us a bit about that.
Well, we can always do more, and we can always, learn from what we've done and do better, as we go. But we have 47 different leadership roles within just this race.
Wow. Okay.
Things such as, the timing coordinator, the awards recognized person, the, safety lead, 47 different volunteer opportunities, different roles. And we had them in committees this year. So we have the opportunities to do things and to organize things. There's a great structure in place. It's just a matter of doing it the first time and then seeing what the group did before us,
Yeah.
and how we want to do it in the future. And we very much called ourselves, there was a group that started, we called them the Pacer Group, which is just a group that just hit the ground running, and literally in racing, that is what the Pacers go first, and everybody else just falls behind and finishes the race behind the Pacers. So this was kind of a pacing year,
Okay.
a year to kind of test it all out, see how it worked, and all in all, it was very well received. And the more people that know about it, the sky's the limit.
Cool. How did you come up with the idea, and when did you come up with the idea?
Let's just say within the past year,
Okay, so it's pretty
we've been
recent.
working. Yeah, yeah. Well, the International Sibling Society, we've been around since 1998,
Yeah.
and we rebranded after the pandemic, and that's when we started really focusing on the Sustainable Development Goals, and just so. But the race itself just came about this year. But we've been working on the Sustainable Development Goals as a group since the pandemic.
Yeah. Okay, and then the idea was just the race would allow you to spread awareness kind of further and wider around the goals and get more people involved and kind of create a global community around it, right? Is that kind of the thinking?
Yeah, yeah. And I could take us back to 1998 real quick, probably
Cool.
pretty quickly. We started in 1998, and our purpose and our goals were to create awareness of international child abandonment. Here we were, the International Sibling Society. What does that even mean? Siblings. So we commissioned a study in 10 different countries, and we worked with kids in 10 different countries' orphanages, over 1,000 kiddos. And we were looking at sibling groups. Do these brothers and sisters get separated in these foreign orphanages, or are they able to cling together, or do they get ripped out of their culture and adopted in another country somewhere? What happens to these sibling groups that are already families themselves? So in the course of that study, we ended up painting a lot with the kids because of language barriers. And then 10 years later, those paintings were exhibited at the United Nations in New York City. Um, then we move into the next phase, which was the sports of it, where we got into Olympic studies and the Olympic truce and stuff, where we looked at sport as a way to address global issues and bring about peaceful outcomes. It's
Yeah.
also called the Sport for Development and Peace movement. Maybe you've heard. It's a whole academic field of study where people like me could get PhDs in that field. So it's the field of sport for development and peace, and that's where the Olympic stuff came in. So we kind of knew we had a good solid base in how well sports could address some of these bigger global issues
Yeah.
in a way that's well received, a way that really moves people forward. Here we are going into the Olympics. Yes, and what better way of international camaraderie than through the competition of the games. So anyway, so then now you go to after the pandemic, where we add in the Sustainable Development Goals, and there you have it. You have a blend since 1998. You have the Sustainable Development Goals, you have the athletic side of things, the sport element, and then back to the global issues of addressing those issues such as child abandonment through the United Nations. It kind of all blends together, all
Yeah.
works since 1998.
Cool. Good
So,
job. And so this was your first year. So presumably it sounds like it was a success. So you're bigger and bolder next year, or what?
we kind of don't have a choice. Here we are. We were just talking with the platform that organizes the race as far as the techie side,
Yeah.
which is Race Roster out of Canada. And it's going to be a seamless process, just going straight on into the next year whenever we're ready to click.
Yeah.
And like I say, right now we're just catching our breath and getting our bodies working again after such a long and tiring period there. But we will recoup, rebound, and get ready to do it again next year.
And what if people want to get involved, and if someone's out there, if they're listening, watching, and they want to do this, like, what do they have to do? How do they get involved? I know it's just finished, but it sounds like at any point in time they can kind of register and kind of engage with your organization. Yeah, what would they do?
Our website, which is right down at the bottom of the screen.
Yep.
ISSnow.earth. It stands for International Sibling Society. Now, it's not 1998 anymore. We live in the now on planet Earth. So ISSnow.earth. It all makes sense. So if you keep an eye on that website, that's where you would register for the race. And while you're there on our website, take a look more about the Sustainable Development Goals, watch some really cool videos. We have a Dynamite YouTube channel. There's all types of volunteer opportunities. Lots of good, exciting things going on just through our website. Give us about another week or so and you'll be able to register for next year's race. And there's all kinds of leadership roles in the race, from
Awesome.
volunteer opportunities in your country to the global landscape, on to organizing those large races in your country that you really want to see happen.
Cool. Awesome. Well, hopefully people get on there and register. And maybe a closing question, just a bit broader. I mean, you seem you seem super positive. It sounds like you've dedicated a lot of your life to making a difference. And I know many people don't get up in the morning and not just don't have that inclination, but often wonder how they can make a difference. Yeah. What advice would you give to anyone who's kind of thinking, hey, I want to make the world better. I want to do something. Yeah. Do you have any kind of advice to people wanting to give back, wanting to make a difference in some way?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I've answered it. And it's very, very easy. Just get plugged in. If you want to be involved on the global level, you want to work with the United Nations, get plugged in. Go to the website, look and see what conferences are going on. All you got to do is fill out your paperwork, let them know who you are, and then they send you something back, like your badge to get in, get involved, and you're there. That easy. It's
Awesome.
literally this simple stuff. Just jump on in and get started.
Cool. Awesome. Cynthia, it's been lovely to chat. I know we met briefly. It's great to get a bit of a, I know I just missed your race, but I also do my kind of walking charity thing that I do each year. So maybe next year we'll be able to integrate in some way. And anyway, it's
Yes.
been great to have you on, and thanks for sharing a bit about, the race, about the goals and everything else. We've obviously got your website there. So for anyone watching, listening, please jump on Cynthia's website. I didn't have any other questions. If there's anything else though you wanted to share, please do. Otherwise, yeah, it's been lovely chatting.
I do look forward to learning more about Footprints for Good, right?
Footsteps for good.
for Good?
Yeah. Sure, I
Can't wait
can.
to learn more.
Cool. Yeah. I can share more on that with you. So awesome. Well, yeah, I will carry on with my day, and it's your evening. So other end of the world. But good to chat.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Cynthia.
All right, you take care.
We want to be free to do what we want to
Two were
do.
Muhammad Ali and Sonny Barker, the president of Hell's Angels.
This is 1095